Hi everyone. I am speaking to you from my sister's house in Columbus, Ohio. I have been so blessed to be able to be here for the last several days with her. She's not home right now, but she's coming home tonight, and I can't wait. I've been thinking about doing, vlogging, or I don't know what you call it, talking to my friends and my family since my birthday. Earlier this year, for those of you who were paying attention, I met someone and we spent a lot of time together. And of course, knowing how shy I am, I did a lot of talking about the things that have happened in my life, places I've been, just, 65 years worth of stuff. And he was like, wow, you've been through a lot. And I thought about it and it was like, well, no, I've just lived a life. And that's what I was going to call my vlog, because I think all of us should just live a life. And we can change what that life is at any time. It can be a life of love. It could be a life of adventure. It can be a life of service. There's so many things. A life of relationships where we make new ones and we try to repair old ones. We can make a life. We can live a life. And I have lived one heck of a life, and I think in future vlogs I will talk about some of those things and lessons I've learned and really dumb stuff that I've done. But today I thought, okay, what's going on in my life now? What's been going on? What is my state of mind since the beginning of the year and meeting that person? I think my kids think I'm nuts, and I think about that and I pray about it all the time. I don't think I am. I think I'm 65 years old. I think I have a diagnosis of heart failure. And I just think that I'm at a point in life where, it's just not time to wait for things. Wait until after blah, blah, blah to do blah, blah, blah. Wait until this month or this many weeks to do blah, blah, blah. And I just feel that I don't really have to wait for things, that if I want something to happen, if I want to learn something, if I want to do something, why not do it right now? Because if it's great, then that gives me more time to enjoy it, right? If there's a lesson to be learned, yay, I take that lesson with me as I go do more stuff. The relationship, or whatever you want to call that, at the beginning of the year, yep, I learned lessons from that. I learned things that I wanted that I didn't think that I did anymore. I learned about respecting myself, just a lot of things. And again, that's something I might talk about later. I've talked with other people. I've considered other relationships. With some, I've been put on the back burner until after. With others, there's been hesitance because people are cautious these days. I'm not saying I'm not cautious. I think I am cautious. I think I'm a decent judge of character, and if I'm not, then there's a reason for me to have known that character. So I met someone else, and it went very well. It seemed like it was going very quickly, but I know myself. I know my feelings. I'm an adult. I am fortunate to say that I know what it feels like to be in love with someone. I mean, I love everybody. I've said this to a couple of people. I can talk to you for a day. I can just look at a picture of you and your kids or something, and already I'm going to feel love for you. That's a strength of mine, but I think other people would say that it's maybe some sort of a fault, because love comes so easily to me. And I'm speaking of love in general, just loving people. I like to say that, when I was in heaven and I was being made, there were lines. We got to pick, the characteristic that we wanted the most. Did we want to have forgiveness? Did we want to have pity? Did we want to have generosity? Did we want to have love? Love everyone. And that line excited me, and the idea of being able to love everybody, I just thought that would be the greatest gift I could have. So I got in the line and I was jibber-jabbering, you know me, and when I got to the front of the line, I was just so excited, and talking and asking questions. And the angel who was giving scoops of loving everybody accidentally gave me 2 scoops because I was distracting her. So that's what makes me me. And I'm okay with that because I think it's good to love people and trust people and see the good in people. I didn't think at my age I would necessarily feel in love with anyone. I have learned I do, that is possible for me, and it's something I want. Like gradually, I would say this year, I've learned, that I want friendship and companionship. I want intimacy. And at one point I was willing to say, okay, friendship and intimacy, maybe that's all I can get at this point. Maybe that's all anyone will ever be willing to give me. So maybe I need to decide if I'm going to be good with that, because something is better than nothing. That didn't work. Well, then along comes in love. So, wow, you get the friendship, you get the intimacy, and it's possible for me to be in love. And holy crap, for someone to be in love with me the way I am at my age, with a clock ticking, like, holy cow. So now that's what I want. It takes time, I think, after, I would say, 21 years of living in a cocoon, because I didn't date. I focused on my children, my family, my education, my health. And so making a decision, I would say last fall, to see, what's out there. Do I want to step out of the cocoon? Am I a moth or a butterfly when I get out? I didn't know, but I decided that I wanted to find out. So right now, I guess instead of saying, I've lived a life and talking about that, I could say now I've jumped in the deep end, because I've done that too. A couple weeks ago, Stephanie was house sitting for someone with a pool, and she was working and said, Mom, go on over there, house sit, go sit by the pool. So Zachary went with me, and I'm not a swimmer. Someone once called me a thrasher. I can get from one place to another in a pool. It's just not pretty. It's just not something you want me to do or you want to see, Never jumped off a diving board unless my dad was right at the bottom of it waiting to catch me. When I was a little girl, I jumped off the side, I jumped off a diving board, I jumped off a dock, but only if my dad was there with his arms outstretched, ready to get me. Since then, no, not a swimmer, not a jumper or a diver. I'm a lay on the chaise in the sun, get a tan kind of girl. Maybe people watch, lifeguard watch, whatever. But no, I'm a side of the pool girl, not an in the pool girl. So I was with Zachary, and I was thinking about going in the pool. Like, here's your chance. No one's around. Zachary will save you. So I went to the side of the pool. I think the deep end was like 12 feet. And Zachary was right by me. He had a float in case I needed to hang on. And I just hung on to the side of that pool for the longest time. I didn't want to let go, because there's just something in my head that if I let go in the deep end, I was going to sink. I don't know why. I don't know where I picked up that fear, but like my whole life, I just felt like I would go down and I wouldn't come up again. So eventually I let go of the side of the pool. Oh, yay, Mom. Woo, about time. I was like, all right, I'm going to jump in now. So I got out, I walked around, and I kind of crouched. I bent my knees. I held my nose. Zachary counted down, 3, 2, 1. And I just stood there, crouched, holding my nose. He's like, come on, Mom. All right, let's do it again. 3, 2, 1. And I stood there, crouched down, knees bent, holding my nose. I couldn't do it. I would like kind of rock forward, like I was going to do it. And I'd kind of rock backward, like, I'm just not going to do this. I don't know how many times my son had to count, but finally I jumped in the pool. And I didn't go deeply into that water. I just kind of like went in, my head got wet, and the next thing you know, I was up, kind of thrashing around looking for Zachary, and he grabbed me. I was like, oh, look what I did. I jumped in the deep end of the pool, which was not impressive. So I got out and I did it again. Well, I kept doing it. Finally, I was jumping out away from the side into the pool. And He caught me, I never touched the bottom at that point. I didn't need to. I was happy doing what I was doing. The last time I jumped, I went down, and almost toward the time of just like breaking the surface, I would have just this little fear, like, okay, come on, where's the top? Where's, when am I going to get out of here? And then boom, there I was out of the water. But I felt myself going up, and I was like, you're going to be up in a minute. So once I hit the surface, I was like to Zachary, don't touch me, just leave me alone. I need to do this. And so I kind of, I was treading water. I didn't grab him. I didn't grab the float. And I was just really, really proud of myself. So yeah, I jumped into the deep end of the pool. A couple days later, Stephanie, Matt, Zachary, and I, we went back. My kids couldn't believe that I did it. Like, Mom went in the deep end, Mom went in the water, So I said, yeah, I'll show you. And I stopped thinking about it. I started just like kind of taking a little bit of a run at the side of the pool and jumping in. No Zachary, no float. I knew I would come up. I did it 2 days ago. And I was like getting some confidence, like, yeah, look at me. Stephanie was taking videos. She sent one to Julianne. Julianne was like, Mom's in the deep end of the pool. Like, this is not anything my children have known of me. I don't do that. I am a suntanner by the pool. So I asked Zachary to please show me a cannonball. So he went in, and he had this lovely cannonball. His knees were appropriately tucked. His arms were around his knees. And it was pretty cool. And I thought, well, if you can jump in, maybe you could do that. At one point, Stephanie, because I was like leaping in, my legs were spread apart when I was jumping. Stephanie said, like, jump in straight, like be a pencil. So I started doing that, which for whatever reason made me go deeper in the water. And a couple times I had touched bottom. So I decided I was going to do a cannonball, but I had to hold my nose. So Stephanie had her camera rolling. I'll post some of this at some point. I'm brave. I could do that. And I started doing cannonballs. They were not like Zachary's, I'll tell you that. But I made the splash. I hit the bottom like almost every time because I was jumping in so hard. And when I was finished, I was so flipping excited. I was proud of myself. Like, here you are, a 65-year-old woman, a non-pool person, and look what you did in a couple of days. And that's how I want to keep doing things. I want to keep jumping in the deep end, whether it's new experiences, learning something, relationships, traveling, I don't care. It's like I proved to myself that I could do something. I enjoyed it. I was proud of it. So why not? So I wouldn't call it jumping in the deep end, but I was going to drive to Cincinnati, and that didn't work out. And I was committed, and I had a window of time that I could be in Cincinnati and Columbus, whatever. And it's like, if I don't do this now, I'm not going to do it. And so I got a plane ticket. Now, if you know me, you know that back in the day, I was just quite the little traveler. There were, times that I would be flying here and there a couple times in a month. I was doing volunteer work, for those of you who don't know. I was in a leadership position in the United Ostomy Association, and so I would travel to meetings. I did leadership training, visitor training. I did motivational speaking. I did educational speaking for nurses. I did a little bit of that in Ohio with the American Cancer Society. I did site inspections for conferences, which means you go look at hotels and venues and decide if that's a good place for you to have a meeting. I was on the meeting planning committee, so I was always traveling places, helping to plan meetings or working with the planning committee and giving them advice on their plans. I hosted a few meetings myself. The biggest was in 1987 in downtown Cleveland. We used the Stofers Hotel and the Holland House. That's where our attendees stayed. We used the convention center for our exhibit hall and our breakout rooms. And we used Lolly the trolley to get everyone around. We had 1,500 people there. Marvin Bush, the president's brother, was a keynote speaker, as was Dear Abby. It was it was amazing, and it was something I was very proud of. Wow, that's a long time ago. But yes, the point is, I used to travel a lot. I know about flying, I know about reservations, I know about, how much time you need to get from here to there. I traveled, years ago with my kids. We went to California. I had no problem. I had confidence. I knew what I was doing. But last year, when I wanted to come to Ohio for a cousin's wedding, Stephanie said, why don't you fly? You'll just get there. You don't need to worry about driving, getting tired. I was like, no, I don't. I don't know. I was afraid to fly. I was afraid I wouldn't feel well going to the gate. I was afraid I would go to the wrong gate. I was afraid, I don't know, I'd miss my plane. I wouldn't know what to do. Like, all of the experience that I had in the past, it just didn't register in my brain that maybe that was still there. And I honestly was afraid of flying, not of a plane crashing, nothing like that. Just personal things. How would I feel? Would I be nervous? Would I have anxiety? Would I have a panic attack because I was by myself? And I said I wasn't going to do it. I just didn't think that was something I wanted to do. I wouldn't be comfortable. I love to drive. I like the idea of having a car with me, and that's what I chose to do. And it was fine. It was good. So here's this trip to Cincinnati. No car to drive. Needed to get here. And so I said I would fly. Even the morning of the flight, I was just thinking of excuses not to go. Like, okay, so I'm going to lose money. Oh, well, this is just stressful. What am I going to do? I don't think I could do this. I'm just not meant to go. But everybody that was talking to me that morning said, just stop. You have the ticket. You spent the money. Get your stuff together. Get an Uber and get going. Well, I got a Lyft, and I was on time. I was waiting and waiting, and all of a sudden, like, the Lyft app opened, and it was like, pick your time, get your driver. Like, where the heck did my guy go? Ron was supposed to come and pick me up. Where did he go? I don't know what happened to Ron. He didn't show. There was no notification. So I hurried up and chose another person that could get there in 6 minutes. I was nervous, like, oh gosh, I've lost time. I'm going to be late. My arm was in a sling because I've recently had shoulder surgery because my dog pulled me down and a couple things tore, and it took me forever, but I had surgery. So I chose to wear my sling as protection for my arm because I really can't use it fully yet. Somewhat, yes, but not fully. So I had 2 large bags in my purse. I bought the extra package, the bonus package or whatever, so that I could check a bag, carry on a bag, and choose a seat. Well, I didn't have anybody to help me carry my luggage, so I'm pulling luggage with my purse on it with one hand, the bad hand, and I'm carrying the heavier check-in piece with the other hand. I'm thinking, oh my God, how far do I have to go to check this? What if it weighs too much? What if it's too big? What am I going to do? I walk in, there's a kiosk. So I followed the directions on the kiosk, and I pushed the right buttons, and I had to walk a few feet, pulling the luggage, carrying the luggage, and my bag was fine. They took it. I didn't have to pay extra for anything. So I was like, all right, 1 bag down. Now what do we do? So I went to security, and I had shoes on. I should have just worn flip-flops, but I wore a flip-flop that had a strap around the heel. And I'm thinking, oh crap, how am I going to do this? But I waited in the line. I had my sling on. I tried to walk through the metal detector. It beeped because there's metal in the sling. So my shoes are off. My bag is gone. My purse is gone. This man tells me, go in another line. And I'm thinking, I'm going to lose my stuff. So I was barefoot. I didn't have to walk far. And I walked through this other lady's metal detector. And she said, were you the one with the sling? And I said, yes. And there's a metal plate in the sling. So she said, no, go back over there. So she sent me back to the first man, and he said something to her. I walked through, some guy said, come here. So I went to a different metal detector and I put my feet on the little feet on the ground and I was fine. I went and I gathered my stuff. I'm trying to put my sandals back on. The guy's like, ma'am, you could go over there. There's benches. You can sit down to put your shoes on. So I was like, okay, this is good. So I went and I did that. I went and I got, what did I get? I got peanut M&Ms and a bottle of water. I have to tell you, I left the house and I think I looked nice. By the time I got to the gate and was sitting down, I was sweating like a pig. I think I sweated off my mascara because I like rubbed my eye and there was black on my eye. I mean, my clothes just felt so wet. I felt so gross. It's like, I hope nobody sits next to me on the plane. This is not going to be good. I got on the plane. I wasn't sure that pulling my suitcase down the aisle, I didn't think it would fit, but it did. Then I got in front of the overhead compartment by my seat. And I thought, how am I going to put this up there? Because my arm was in a sling. And I turned around, like, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to ask someone. And there were these 3 men looking at me. And this man goes, I was just sitting here waiting to see if you were going to get that up there by yourself. And I was like, well, if I did, we'd all be surprised and impressed, right? So this guy that was sitting on the aisle, he's like, I'll help you. I'll put it up for you. So he did, and everything was good. I ate my M&Ms. I drank my water. Some lady came and sat by the window. And then the next thing you know, the flight attendants are moving those men to the front of the plane, you know, on either side. I guess they had to distribute the weight. And I'm thinking, oh my God, who's going to help me get my luggage from the overhead when we get there? I had no trouble flying. Everything was good. I loved it. I love to fly. I think it's a miracle that something as large as a plane can just glide through the air like that. I don't know. I don't understand aeronautics and all that kind of stuff. I don't need to, because I'm just fine thinking that it's, you know, kind of miraculous that I'm up in the air like that. So we land and I tell the lady, you know, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait a minute because I have luggage in the overhead and I'm going to have to find someone, you know, to help me get it out. And she was like, that's okay. And the next thing I know, this male voice says, don't worry, I'll get it for you. I wasn't even looking at the aisle. I was talking to this lady. So this very kind man came and he took the luggage out. And, you know, I left the plane and I felt proud again. It was like, wow, you were so worried about this. You had no confidence and you did it. It was fine. Like, then I'm thinking, oh boy, you know, how much money do I need? Where else can I fly? I've done it once. I want to do it again, you know, and I will. I don't know where, I don't know how, but yeah, I'm going to do it again and I'm going to be okay. My next thing that I need to do, and when I was in college, my women's studies professor told me, you know, we were talking about women and independence and stuff like that. And she said, you know, how many of you have walked into a bar and sat at the bar and ordered a drink? And I don't know how old I was at the time. I don't know, 39. I don't know. It was before Zachary. And these young college girls, they raised their hand, you know, and I was like, not me, you know, I've been in bars, I've sat at a bar, but always with someone else. And, you know, my women's studies instructor was like, you know, do it. Just be independent, be strong, go sit at a bar and order a drink. And I was like, I can't do that. I don't think I could do that. But you know what? It's on my, you know, live a life, jump in the deep end list now. Like, I don't know when, I don't know where, but at some point I'm just going to make that decision. Like, you know what? I'm going to go in there and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to order a ginger ale because that's probably all I would want. So, you know, I don't know why I'm telling you all of this. I'm telling you about my lack of confidence, but then when I do things, sometimes it works out really well. I'm telling you that I think it's important to not put things off, to do things that make you happy or that you're curious about, and not, as long as you're not hurting someone else, then you should go for it, that you shouldn't postpone things. You know, I'm an odd person because in some ways I have a lot of confidence, like, you know, confidence about what I look like, let's say that. And I'm like not talking about my hair or my face or anything. I'm talking about, you know, I have my scar from my open heart surgery, right? I have scars here. I don't know if you can even see them from my shoulder surgery. I have myostomy, which obviously I'm not going to whip that out, but you know me, you know I've had that since I was, 19 years old. And I think about that stuff like, ooh, I should be embarrassed, and ooh, you know, what if a guy doesn't want me because of those things? Well, number one, that hasn't been the case. That those things have just not mattered one iota. Like, I told someone about it at one point, and he said, does it bother you? I was like, no, like, I've had this forever. This is part of me. This saved my life. It was like, okay, then. So I think that's been a really good surprise for me. But I think my attitude about that is if anybody has a problem with the scars or the ostomy or whatever, I probably, you know, say, you know, well, go to hell, or gee, too bad for you because I'm a pretty great person, huh? I don't think I would cry about it. I would just think, you know, that's too bad because these things saved my life. I made conscious decisions to have them, to save my life, to give me a life. That life that I talked to, you know, that first guy about, you know, like, wow, you've been through a lot. I've been through a lot of good things too. I've had miracles in my life. So it's not just, ooh, poor Sandra, heart surgery. Ooh, poor Sandra, ostomy. Ooh, poor Sandra, her dog yanked her down and she had to have shoulder surgery, you know. I think you take the good with the bad. That's everybody. That's everybody's life. That's my life. But now I feel like I'm looking for good. I'm looking for happiness. I'm looking for excitement. I'm looking for adventure. I'm looking to challenge myself because I want to keep living a life. You know, when I said that, I've lived a life, that was past tense. And I thought about that too. It's like, well, no, you're still alive. You know, all those exciting things that you were talking about, they're not happening now. But you're still living a life. Like, what do you want to do with that? It shouldn't be past tense. It should be now. I should still be creating that life. I should still be doing things that I used to do. Maybe not as much, maybe not in the same way, but if I enjoyed things and wanted to do things at one point, why wouldn't I now? Like right now, I have just this really big desire to connect with my friends and my family. I wish I could take a road trip and I would stop and meet friends that I have online and would like to meet in person. In Florida, I would like to go visit my Aunt Mira and my cousins on my birth father's side. In California, I want to see my friend Elaine, who's like a sister to me, in Idaho. And I don't know why, but I've always had this desire to live in Montana. I've never been to Montana. I don't know anybody in Montana, but I've always said I wanted to live in Montana. So I guess if I go to Idaho, I need to go north a little bit and go check out Montana. I don't think I would stay there because I've got my kids in North Carolina, my grandbaby coming, like, no. But I don't know why that's in my head. So who knows? Maybe something really wonderful would be waiting for me in Montana and I would bring it or him back to North Carolina. I don't know. Of course, all of my friends and loved ones in Ohio, like, I don't know. I want to take a trip. I want to go from Wilmington and put my foot in the Atlantic and drive across the country to the Pacific and put my foot in there. I mean, granted, I've been to both places. I've driven from Raleigh to California, but it's not the same. I just want to get on 40 or Route 66, if you will, and drive all the way across. I could do that by myself if I had a vehicle and the gas money. I would do it. I'd probably borrow a tent. I don't mind camping alone. Well, if I can put up the tent, I can camp alone. Maybe I would take my dog with me. I don't know if the dog would be happy with all that driving and loud music, but, you know, what the heck? At least I could say, well, I have a companion. I'm okay. I know I'm babbling, but I think, I don't know. I just love the people on my Facebook. I love how supportive you are when things are good, when you know something's not good, when I ask you for prayers. And I just want you to know, like, that I think of you, and I want you to know good things that are happening to me, things that I just really don't want to type a lot about, but I want you to know. I don't know, I feel teary. I post the same picture. I posted a picture on my birthday, and the other day I decided I really didn't want the picture that was my profile picture. I didn't want that one anymore. And so it's like, well, what do I put up? And it was like, just put the birthday picture. And doggone, some of you loved it the first time I posted it, and you loved it a couple days ago. And I just think that's so sweet. And I want to live a life, and I want to jump in the deep end, and I want to give you cool things to read or watch or know about me. I don't know, because this is the last chapter for me, I think, I was telling someone that if I live to the average age of the American woman when she passes away, that's 81. Guys, simple math. That's only 15 years away. 16. Whoa, I'm 65. Okay, simple math, right? Not for me. 16 years away. That's not a long time. If I think about what I was doing 16 years ago, that doesn't seem that long ago. Considering my health and stuff like that, though I'm still losing weight, I'm still trying to watch what I eat, except for when I was at the fair. Oh my God, I was so bad. Talk about jumping in the deep end. It was like, I'm here. And I always am careful. Like, I eat hot dogs and I take them off the bun. I eat burgers without the bun. I eat Chick-fil-A without the bun. Like, I try to be careful. And it's okay, because I've lost I've lost more than 55 pounds. I'm knocking on the door of 60 pounds, and I'll probably tell you when that happens, because I'm just really excited about it, and I'm very proud, because I don't exercise, especially with the shoulder and my stamina, my heart, all of that. I'm not somebody that's going to be jogging, being on a treadmill. If I was, it would be maybe 20 minutes, and then I'd be like down for the count for a couple days, because it takes so much out of me. But yeah, I'm losing weight. I'm trying to take care of myself. So maybe I'll get that 16 years. Maybe I'll get more. Maybe I'll get less. But because you don't know, we don't, I've been told many times, we don't even know if we get tomorrow. I just feel like if I don't have to put something off, I'm not going to put something off. So if it's in my heart to see some of you, y'all might be seeing me before you expected to. And I will look forward to that. So I think I'm done. I've rambled. I think I've expressed where I am in my life right now. I think I'm in a good place. Even though my kids think I'm nuts, I don't think I am. I think I just have learned you have to make things happen. Your happiness is important. And just because you come to a certain age or have certain health issues, you're not done living your life. Like, yes, I've lived a life, but I'm still living a life. And I think that's what's important. And I hope you are too. I love you all. And who knows what I'll be talking about, but I'll talk to you soon.